Number 3, you're going to see your shits.
Beep.
Number 3, you're going to see your shits. Beep.
And welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and I have got a special guest. That's right, I've got T-Money from Operation Metaverse. Why don't you say hello to everybody?
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So I just recently put a video out, caused a little bit of disruption in the in-game players, but it was about green mods. It caused a little bit of confusion. It was really designed for free-to-play individuals who were trying to get the best bang for their buck from their existing mods. That's what I was talking about, trying to find the highest end speed they had on green. It's really cheap and efficient to roll those up, and you have, with green, obviously 3 more attempts at that speed. So I was talking about how to get high speed secondaries. This video is a little different. We're going to shift gears a little, and we're going to talk to all of the in-game players. That's what this video is specifically about. And it is, again, about mods, but we're going to very specifically talk about 6E mods. We're slicing the 6E mod. We're not going to talk about very specifically primaries or secondaries, but why? Why is it very, very important, actually, in my opinion, the most important thing in mods for the in-game player to focus on 6E mods? I've got 5 very important reasons why you should be considering all of your mods to 6E. Are you ready to do this?
Absolutely.
All right, so the very first thing that you can get out of a 6E mod is the largest stats boost. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go into, and we're just going to kind of walk through this, but when I say the largest stat boost, I don't mean just primaries or specifically on secondaries. I mean everything. So if I come to, let's say, Asajj Ventress, and I go to manage, and I go into her gold mod, and we're going to 6E, and we slice it, watch what happens to all stats. Bang. Now the defense is 20%. That was an 8% jump. You cannot get that in secondary stats. And every single secondary stat jumped again. You got another speed, you got some more offense potency and tenacity. So this is a guarantee increase across the board. And so for me, because it's the largest stat gain, when you're at the end of game, it's the most important to be able to boost all of the overall stats of your particular characters. What are your thoughts about going from 5 dot to the 6E dot mod and the gains you get with the increase?
I've been having so much fun with this lately. I've been going, people are taking different strategies, rolling their best mods. I've been going character by character. So I started out with Nest. I gave her a circle and a cross with the huge health bonus that you get going from 5A to 6E. It's 5.88 to 16%. I have my Nest at 52,000 health. And, my last territory wars, the opposing team, we were chatting with them, and they had to take an Imperial probe droid to kill her because she just was not going down with any of the tunes that they had in hand. So, I'm having great fun with that. I'm now working on an offense set in our test account, in the Game Changer test account. We've been playing with Mission, and good old Maurice put on an offense set that was a 6E set, and it gave her 800 offense, and she was one-shotting, Django and Boba, and it's a lot of fun to see these tunes at a whole different level of play. It's like they've given us a whole new roster in a lot of ways.
Pretty awesome. I think for the in-game player, what really impacts it is that when you're saving up the 120 pieces it takes to go to 6E, you're rewarded at least for it, because that 120 piece that you saved and farmed for, you're going to get 5 stats increase across the board, which is phenomenal. And we'll talk about how it impacts speed a little bit later. But the second thing that is really important with the 6E mod, and I know it may not sound inherently like a really good thing, but that is the Total Galactic Power Boost. Why do you think Total Galactic Power Boost would be an important thing, or why it would be something beneficial from 6E mods? Why do you think I'm suggesting that?
Well, I think for some guilds, it's really beneficial. Those who are trying to get, their stars in territory battles, you get extra, it's 41 stars, and you get a nice new bonus pack with, new gear and that sort of thing. For us, my guild is about 186 million GP. So we're kind of climbing up into a range where it wouldn't be unrealistic for us to be up against Team Instinct. So
It's true.
the 6E, and we've had big gains in our GP lately that are kind of unexplainable. And I think that it's largely because of the marquee characters, but also because of all of our players just loving the gains to 6E. So I'm seeing the GP rise, and I'm like, whew, hoping that the upper guilds keep going with their GP at the same rate that we are.
For sure. And I know a lot of people, I just clicked a couple of mods, they would see that it's a 45 GP gain. That seems like nothing. But I've seen a lot of screenshots lately of people that are in territory battles, phase 6, and they're like this close, just so close to that 3rd star, and to get that 45 in light side or the 48 in dark side, or maybe they're that close to getting the 2nd star. And had they just had another few hundred GP, they would have been there. Now that comes from all 50 people doing increases to their roster. And so while it may not seem like a super bonus 45 GP per one, it adds up with an entire guild. It does make number 2 on the list because it is something, and it is something to consider. Now, number 3 is actually a lot of people's favorite part if they like ships. If you don't like ships, you probably won't care. But number 3 is the ship stats that you gain. Now, I was talking about this actually just in a recent video, and people wanted to know, how do you increase stats? What's the correlation or causation between these? And I can tell you that with the 6E mods, and we'll do this with a couple characters. I've got Bosk pulled up. He gets an increase in his stats to his ship for every 2 upgrades to his mods. Currently 92,000 health and 141 speed. All right, so let's go back to him, and we're going to bump his mod. All right, now that I have sliced those, let's go ahead and look at his stats, and you can see now he's at 95,000 health, which is much higher than it just was, and he's at 142 speed. So you get some sort of a stat boost every 2 mods that you take from gold to the 6E stat.
I think that with the Chimera being still so prevalent, and the ultimate on that ship being so important, that having speed on Thrawn is, people will Zeta him just for that 1 extra speed. And now here you go, you're getting, an extra 1 or 2. I don't know what the cap ships are at, but maybe I think you said we were going to do one of those.
That's true. So Executrix, I actually started doing the mods. I already did a couple. And so I've got him currently at 172 speed. I want to finish off his 6E mods so everybody can see what the last 2 bumps, because the next 4 mods will give him 2 more bumps. We're going to see where that takes the 172. All right, so he was 172, and I put 2 more mods on 6E, and he went to 173, and I put 2 more on, and now he's at 174. So you effectively get 1 speed for every 2 6E mods that you're putting on there. The biggest thing to take away from this is if you have a crew member you're using and you increase their mods to 6E, every 2 mods you do, you're going to see a jump in the stat. So ship stat gains is actually number 3. Very cool. Number 4 on the list is actually going to be guaranteed speed. Now, what I mean by that is, when we're going to go into a character, is at the highest end, a lot of people are struggling, right, with the RNG, and they're trying to roll their mods, and they're investing all this energy into getting these pieces, and then they're using these pieces, and then their speed doesn't roll. Their purple that has 18 speed doesn't get any more, and they're just frustrated. It's now at gold, and they're just upset. And so at the highest end, a good way to take RNG out of the equation and to guarantee that you get +7 speed on every character is to take them to the 6E set. Now, I'm going to explain kind of what I mean by that, because some people might be like, huh? Well, when your stats go up, when it goes from the secondaries up, it jumps 1 secondary stat. When you go from 5 to 6, every stat moves. And if you see, I just did the arrow, you got 2 speed guaranteed on that. So you got 2 speed additional from that. On the plus, I already got 1 speed guaranteed. And then on these others, if you take them from gold to the 6E, you're going to guaranteed get another speed. That went from 12 to 13. And so because you're having 5 mods go up +1 guaranteed, and the arrow going up +2 guaranteed, that's a +7 guaranteed speed increase by simply focusing on 6E mods versus any of the other mods. And for an in-game player, I would argue that not only is the speed important, but every other secondary stat increase in this method of doing it.
Absolutely. I think it's a really important one. It's really the difference between getting a mod with 18 secondary speed and then all of a sudden being gifted one with 25 secondary speed. It might not seem significant spreading it over all of the mods, but really, that's a big difference in speed. I think I'm really appreciative that there wasn't another RNG roll here, that this wasn't another little gamble for us. It's just a percentage multiplier across the board. We know exactly what we're going to get. If we have this much offense, then we're going to have this much offense after the roll. And there's just not, there's no RNG involved. So we don't have to get our feelings hurt and, feel like the world's against us. This is just guaranteed stats. So you can really look at your mods when you're deciding which ones to bring up to 6E and decide not only just the primary, but also among the secondaries, which ones are the very best to bring up. Offense percentage is getting a 202% increase. Health is getting a huge increase. So, really looking at what the stats are and knowing what the stats are.
I love that.
So you can get the very best out of your mods.
Yeah, I love that you said that. That's actually a really great point. You should always be looking at your secondary stats and making sure that the mod makes sense. So I've got one pulled up right here. It has offense, it has speed, it's got potency, it's got tenacity. This is a really great mod with secondary stats. So as it slices, you're guaranteed to increase all of these amazing stats. If you have one that's got less than optimal secondary stats, hold off on that one and do a different mod. Try and do your very best secondary stats like you mentioned. Now, the last and kind of vaguest conversation on the 6E is just basically maintaining a high-end competitive advantage. And what I wanted to talk about that just briefly is when you are in the highest end, the top 50, top 100 guilds in the world, and you're at a high level of competition, every little thing matters. Even the 7 speed matters. The additional, stats. When people are trying to use Magma Trooper against Scion and they're able to put additional tenacity on Scion, preventing, the debuffing or preventing the turn meter reduction because that goes through that check. That is something that becomes hyper critical at the highest end. How are 6E mods, these new gold mods, how are they going to give you that high end in-game competitive advantage?
For my guild, we're so focused on territory wars. That's really how I look at my roster. So, gold mods are certainly the best to roll. They continue to be the Cadillac of mods, but I've gone back with all of my green mods, all of my blue mods. I've taken ones that I haven't actually rolled up, revealed all of the secondaries to see which are, if there's speed under any of them. And then I'm rolling for speed and I'm rolling for stats like potency and tenacity because they're so important for both defensive and offensive squads. So really, really looking at what I have, I kind of see it as I have this mod menu in front of me and which ones do I want to kind of take and make better rather than kind of going back to the store and looking from scratch. I'm just trying to work with what I have, and I think it's saving me credits. It's about 300,000 to splice all the way from green to gold, which is much cheaper than actually buying a mod. So.
Absolutely. And so the previous video I did is really for free to play to get the best bang for their buck. This video really dials it in as to an in-game player, why your focus should really be after the low-hanging fruit of greens or blues should really be 6E. You're going to gain 5 major benefits. Obviously, you're going to see your largest stat gains for your character because all 5 stats grow at the 6E. Second, you're going to see that GP boost that's going to overall help your team, especially with the territory wars when you do your roster dump. Number 3, you're going to see your ships stats increase every couple of mods that you increase, and that's significant in your arena for Ship's Arena, so pretty awesome there. And number 4, you're guaranteed, if you do all 6 mods and you have a speed arrow and you have speed secondaries, to get a guaranteed 7+ speed without any RNG playing a factor whatsoever. It's probably a better gamble for a lot of people on the high end than trying to find a lower end mod, especially now. And 5, just the overall competitiveness in arenas and territory wars. You really need to be focusing on certain characters to max them out, so that way you can maintain that in-game competitive advantage you already currently have. Well, TMoney, I appreciate you coming on to the video. I appreciate your time. I know you were very busy this morning, but I love having you on. You always have great insight. Everybody, you can check out Operation Metaverse on their own channel. I'll have the link in the description below. What are your last thoughts and words of sage advice for the viewing audience?
Just, thank you so much for having me, Warrior. It's great to chat about this stuff. I just, have fun. Sometimes the RNG doesn't roll your way, but eventually it will. And yeah, have fun with it. I think this is a really fun aspect of our game that very few other games have. It makes it super complicated and dynamic. And yeah, I hope everybody's having fun with it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you on again. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out. So, quick question. Are you peeping on me right now?
I'm totally peeping on you right now.
I mean, I can't see you, but you can see me.
Uh-huh.
It feels weird.
I'm in a position of power, definitely.